At least 52 people have died in a suicide bombing in Pakistan's Balochistan province. More than 50 have been injured. The explosion occurred at a religious gathering where people had come together to mark the birth anniversary of Prophet Muhammad. Balochistan officials have now declared a state of emergency. So far, no group has claimed responsibility for the blast. Meanwhile, another mosque bombing near Peshawar has killed at least 5. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken met India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar in Washington, D.C. yesterday. The two leaders discussed various issues, including key outcomes of India's G20 presidency. They also emphasized on the importance of cooperation ahead of the upcoming 2+2 dialogue. The meeting came just hours after Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said he was sure that Blinken would raise the issue of the killing of pro-Khalistan separatist Hardeep Singh Nijjar with Jaishankar. Fires burnt in the streets and tear gas choked the air in India's northeastern state of Manipur. Protests broke out following the alleged abduction and murder of 2 students. More than 80 people were injured in the clashes. However, it was calmer on Friday. Ethnic violence has plunged the state into a crisis ever since tensions broke out in May this year. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg is on an unannounced visit to Ukraine's capital Kyiv. He said that Ukrainian forces are gradually gaining ground in their counteroffensive against Russia. During a press conference, Stoltenberg said Russian troops are fighting for Moscow's quote-unquote imperial delusions. He added that there are contracts in place that would allow NATO members to replenish their depleted stockpiles while still providing ammunition to war-torn Ukraine. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin met Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov on Thursday. The meeting comes 3 days after Kadyrov published a video. This video shows his teenage son beating up a prisoner accused of burning the Islamic holy text, the Quran. The Kremlin has refused to comment on the incident. Putin's meeting also comes amid speculation over his health. Police officials in the Netherlands say a gunman killed a teacher and another woman at a university campus in Rotterdam City. A 14-year-old girl is also seriously injured. Officials say that prior to the shooting, the gunman burned down the house of one of the women who was fatally shot. Dutch police personnel arrested the attacker on the university campus. The motive behind the attack remains unknown. Sweden's Prime Minister has summoned the head of the armed forces and the police commissioner. He is asking for their help to contain the crisis in gang violence in the country. Earlier this week, 2 people were shot dead and 2 were left injured when a gunman opened fire at a bar. In September alone, a wave of brutal violence claimed the lives of at least 11 people. This makes September the country's deadliest month since December 2019. Pan-African Unity and pro-Russian activist Kemi Seba mobilized a large crowd in front of the French military base near Niger's capital Niamey yesterday. The crowd called for France's rapid departure from the coup-hit West African country. Seba has a long history of arrests and expulsions from European countries over charges of inciting violence and the promotion of anti-Semitic hate speech. Last weekend, French President Emmanuel Macron said that French troops would begin the process of withdrawing from Niger over the coming months. Lebanese Armenians gathered near the embassy of Azerbaijan in Lebanon on Thursday. They protested against Azerbaijan's military operation in Nagorno-Karabakh. Many of them held up banners and Nagorno-Karabakh flags. Protesters also clashed with the security forces who were preventing them from getting closer to the embassy. They threw objects at police officials who responded with tear gas. Azerbaijan took control of Nagorno-Karabakh last week in a military operation. Thousands of women took to the streets of Argentina's capital, Buenos Aires. The protesters demanded greater abortion rights. The women chanted that they wanted free, legal, and safe abortions. Some protesters said that women across Latin America will band together to demand greater abortion rights. Elon Musk visited the US-Mexico border in the state of Texas yesterday. He live-streamed his visit on his social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter. Musk said that the visit was meant to highlight the crisis of thousands of migrants crossing over from Mexico into the US. He also called for an improved legal immigration system that welcomes hard-working and honest migrants. Elon Musk's total live stream had a viewership of over 12 million people. In climate news, torrential rains flooded homes and streets in central Greece yesterday. More than 250 people were evacuated after getting stranded due to flash floods. Officials say that the storm caused a power outage in almost 80% of homes in the region. Heavy rainfall from a tropical storm caused flooding in Vietnam's capital Hanoi. Vehicles were stranded after flash floods raised water to above the knee level. Authorities have issued landslide warnings in several parts of Hanoi. Incessant rains caused flooding in the South African city of Cape Town. Officials say 8 people were killed due to electrocution in 2 separate incidents. Hundreds of homes in Cape Town were waterlogged, which left people stranded and in need of rescue. Residents in Japan's capital Tokyo were asked to stay indoors due to an ongoing heat wave. Temperatures in Tokyo reached 33 degrees Celsius in a heat wave that has been now ongoing for almost 90 days. Schools and several offices were shut down in the city. Japan's weather department says the heat wave is likely to continue for at least 1 more week. The Latin American nation of Bolivia is facing one of its hottest winters on record. This has led to a prolonged drought in Bolivia's high-altitude cities. The government is sending tankers to provide fresh water to people suffering from dry conditions. The heat has turned some of Bolivia's most fertile regions arid, threatening the livelihoods of over 1 million farmers. A severe drought is affecting wildlife in Brazil's Amazon region. Low river levels and warm waters have caused thousands of fish to die. The dead fish are also contaminating the water, making it unfit for use. Water levels in one of the Amazon's tributaries have fallen by almost a foot per day since mid-September. Britain's landmark Sycamore Gap tree was cut down yesterday. Police officials say it was a deliberate act of vandalism. Authorities have arrested a 16-year-old boy suspected of chopping down the tree. His motive remains unknown. One in 6 wildlife species in Britain are at risk of going extinct. This is according to a new study, and the report says that human activity and rapid infrastructure expansion are wiping out wildlife habitats in the UK. The study also suggests that Britain is one of the world's most nature-depleted countries and has already lost more than half of its biodiversity. A new study shows that Switzerland's glaciers are melting at a record rate. Global warming has caused the glaciers to shrink by 10% in the last 2 years. The research says that in these last 2 years, glaciers lost more ice than the last 3 decades combined. The month of August saw the highest amount of snow melting in Switzerland since records began. Reports say France's competition authority raided Nvidia's local offices this week. This is on suspicion that the chipmaker engaged in anti-competitive practices. Earlier in the week, the French competition authority said it was investigating a company in the graphics card sector. However, it had not named any company then. The striking workers of America's United Auto Workers Union have made a new counter-proposal to car maker Stellantis. This comes just a day before the union is set to extend their strikes to additional facilities of the Detroit 3 automakers. Meanwhile, their talks remain active with the other two automakers, Ford and General Motors. The UAW has been demanding a pay hike of 40% from all three firms. Opening statements have begun over a case against electric vehicle maker Tesla in the US. The automaker faces allegations that its autopilot driver assistant feature led to a death. In 2019, a Tesla Model 3 car suddenly veered off a highway, struck a palm tree and burst into flames. This was when it was in the autopilot mode. The accident killed the driver and seriously hurt two other passengers in the Tesla. Meanwhile, the automaker has also been sued by an American civil rights agency. The lawsuit says that Tesla allows the severe harassment of black employees at its office in the US state of California. Black workers at the company's plant are allegedly subjected to racist slurs and graffiti. Tesla has been accused of failing to investigate complaints of racist conduct. Instead, it has allegedly fired or retaliated against complainants. A US judge has ruled that the conglomerate General Electric will have to face a shareholder lawsuit. This was after the company's efforts to get the suit dismissed fell short. The suit accuses GE of concealing risks related to its power business. The shareholders accused the company of blindsiding investors over billions of dollars of unexpected exposure. The judge has urged both parties to reach a settlement. Fortnite game maker Epic Games is laying off more than 800 employees. This is about 16% of its staff. The gaming company has also decided to divest its online music platform, Bandcamp. Epic's CEO said that the move will help the company, quote-unquote, get to the other side of profitability. The US state of California has raised the minimum wage for fast food workers. They will now earn a minimum of $20 per hour. The workers will also have a greater say in setting workplace standards. In turn, fast food labor unions have decided to drop their other demand. This was to hold fast food corporations liable for violations committed by their franchisees. A US judge has rejected a bid by Uber, DoorDash and Grubhub. They had requested the court to block a law in New York City. The law sets a minimum wage for app-based delivery workers. It will require companies to pay delivery workers nearly $18 an hour. This will be further raised to nearly $20 in April 2025. Microsoft's CEO Satya Nadella is expected to testify against Google on the 2nd of September. Nadella is likely to speak about the obstacles this company faced due to Google's dominance. This comes over the US government's antitrust trial against the search giant's owner, Alphabet. The government has argued that Alphabet illegally paid $10 billion annually to smartphone makers like Apple and carriers like AT&T. This is to make Google the default search engine on devices, and Satya Nadella will be present on the 2nd of October. Norway will refer a fine it has imposed on Meta platforms to the European Data Authority. This means that the fine on Meta could be widened to the whole of the European Union. Norway has fined the Facebook owner $93,000 per day since the 14th of August. This was for breaching user privacy. Moving to sports, here are the updates from the Asian Games. Indian shooter Palak clinched gold in the women's 10-meter air pistol event. Palak's compatriot Isha Singh secured silver, giving India a top 2 finish. Earlier in the day, the Indian men's team won gold in the 50-meter rifle 3-position event. Aishwarya Pratap Singh Tomar, Swapnil Kusale and Akhil Shioran also broke the world record for the highest cumulative score of 1769. China took silver and South Korea finished third for bronze. India's mixed doubles pair of Rohan Bopanna and Rutuja Bhosle have entered the Asian Games final. they beat their Chinese Taipei opponents 6-1, 3-6 and 10-4 in the semi-final. Earlier in the day, India also won a silver in the men's doubles tennis category. India beat Japan 4-2 in the men's hockey at the Asian Games. Abhishek scored a double for India. The other goals for the men in blue came from Mandeep Singh and Amit Rohidas. Japan hit 2 goals in the second half but were unable to catch up to the lead. India will next play Pakistan on Saturday. In other sports, we start with cricket. India have made a change to their World Cup squad. Spinner Ravichandran Ashwin has been included in the team. He will replace Akshar Patel, who is suffering from a hamstring injury. Meanwhile, Australia have also made a last-minute changes to their World Cup squad. Batter Manos Labuschagne has been called up by Australia. He will replace Ashton Agar, who has been ruled unfit to play due to a calf injury. In football, police officials raided Spain's Football Federation headquarters yesterday. This was after authorities launched an investigation into corruption and bribery allegations. Prosecutors filed a complaint over alleged illegal payments made to referees by the Spanish Federation, spanning almost 2 decades. La Liga club Barcelona has also been named as a suspect in the investigation. Bayern Munich captain Manuel Neuer returned to the training yesterday. The goalkeeper was seen back on the field after a gap of almost 10 months. This is because Neuer was recovering from a broken leg due to a skiing accident which occurred last December. In tennis, Alex de Minaur advanced to the second round at the China Masters. Australia's de Minaur beat England's Andy Murray 6-3, 5-7 and 7-6. De Minaur was trailing 5-3 in the third set but rallied back to pull off the win. His next match will take place on Saturday. Formula One's governing body rejected the application of New Zealand's Rodin cars to compete in the sport. The firm had proposed manufacturing its F1 cars in New Zealand. It also planned to reserve one of its 2 seats for a female driver. Formula One has not had a female driver since 1976. In fact, last week, Britain's Jessica Hawkins became the first female to test an F1 car in 5 years. HBO chief Casey Bloys has said that his shows will not be created with the use of artificial intelligence. Bloys said, and I quote, "I don't see a world where a bunch of executives say, okay, ChatGPT, give us a great true detective season. It is not a world where I am interested in working." Bloys applauded the resolution between striking Hollywood writers and studios and also said that the issues under discussion were existential. Suits actor Patrick J. Adams has said that he regrets posting behind-the-scenes pictures from the show during the ongoing SAG-AFTRA strikes. Actors have been told not to promote their projects while the Hollywood Actors' Union is still on the picket lines. Adams said, and I quote, "I foolishly and thoughtlessly let a trip down Suits memory lane distract me from the very real and ongoing fight." He added that it was an embarrassing oversight for which he is incredibly sorry. SAG-AFTRA has been on strike for close to 80 days now and has failed to reach a contract with major Hollywood studios. Film producer Jason Blum has spoken about the release date of his latest movie, The Exorcist Believer. He said, and I quote, "The one thing that scares me to death is Taylor Swift. We moved our date and bowed our head to Taylor Swift. It is too risky to see if Exorcist Swift was going to take place or not." Blum moved the release date of the new Exorcist movie as it was clashing with Taylor Swift's Eras Tour movie. The Eras Tour movie is set for release worldwide between October and November this year. The 2004 romance fantasy movie 13 Going on 30 is now set up for a musical adaptation. Screenwriters George Goldsmith and Kathy Uspa are teaming up with musicians Michael Wiener and Alan Zachary. The original movie follows the life of a teenage girl who wishes to turn 30 and wakes up as an adult. The 13 Going on 30 musical will have its world premiere in October in London. The People's Choice Country Awards wrapped up in the city of Nashville in the US. The most nominated artists include Blake Shelton, Kelsey Ballerini, Carrie Underwood, and Luke Combs. The Country Music Icon Award went to Toby Keith. The Male Artist of 2023 award went to Jelly Roll, while Lainey Wilson bagged the Female Artist of 2023 award. The Bachelor Nation star Caitlin Bristow revealed that she suffered a panic attack ahead of the 2023 People's Choice Country Awards. This led to her missing the red carpet event. Bristow took to Instagram and said, "Today was rough, but I pushed through. Was supposed to go to the People's Choice Country Music Awards tonight, but my body had other plans." She added that this was her fourth panic attack. In order to calm herself, Caitlin Bristow said she did a light workout, a relaxing facial, and is now resting. Rolling Stone singer Mick Jagger has hinted that he might leave his $500 million music catalog for charity, but not for his children. During an interview with a news publication, he said, and I quote, "The children don't need $500 million to live well." The 80-year-old singer said that he would like to use catalog's money to do some good in the world. Mick Jagger has 8 children, the oldest one being 52 years old, and the youngest one is 6 years old. Backstreet Boys singer A.G. McLean has opened up about his sobriety journey. The singer took to Instagram and said, "Today is a very special day as I am 2 years sober." He added that he battled self-esteem issues his entire life and learned a lot. A.J. McLean also tried to motivate other people who are struggling with alcoholism. He said if his post helps another addict out there, then he'll consider his job done. Singer Cher has been accused of hiring men to get her own son kidnapped. Her son, Elijah Blue, Almond's wife, has alleged that 4 men removed him from a hotel in New York in November 2022. Allman and his wife are going through a divorce and had allegedly met at the hotel to try to save their marriage. Cher's representatives have not said anything about the controversy yet. Actor Michael Gambon, famous for playing the role of Albus Dumbledore in most of the Harry Potter movies, has died at the age of 82. Gambon's family issued a statement saying the actor died following a bout of pneumonia. He is survived by his wife and son. Michael Gambon took up the role of the famous character Dumbledore after the death of actor Richard Harris in 2002. He was cast as Dumbledore in 6 out of 8 Harry Potter movies.